There was a small town somewhere in the middle of nowhere in the United States where life was measured and nothing unusual happened. But one day, on Halloween, strange things began to happen in the town. An unknown villain began to send residents frightening messages with threats that seemed so real that no one could relax. The townspeople were frightened and confused, and it seemed to them that the villain was near. Soon the messages began to be accompanied by unexplained occurrences. People heard strange noises in their homes, creepy figures hung in the streets, and some noticed shadows following them at every turn. Once the police began investigating, they discovered that the villain was not just joking around. Each message contained details from the victims' personal lives that no one but the man himself could know. The unknown villain had been following everyone, studying their behavior and habits, and using this information to scare them even more. When the police received a report that a local resident had been kidnapped, it was clear that the case was serious. Residents were afraid to leave their homes, and armed guards appeared on the streets to keep the town safe. But the unknown villain continued to taunt the police and residents. He gave hints as to the whereabouts of the kidnapped man and claimed to know what they were doing at any given time. It soon became clear that the villain was inside the city, and it was almost impossible to follow him. But when the police had already given up hope, they received a new message from the villain. In it he stated that he was ready to surrender, but only on one condition: all city residents must come to a certain area of the city and pass through a special gate. Despite the fact that the residents were frightened, they decided to agree to the villain's terms. The police and armed guards prepared for the worst and prepared everything to save the victims if anything went wrong. When the day arrived, the square was full of people. In the center of the square was a large black box that looked like a coffin. The people of the city, trembling with fear, passed through the gate and found themselves inside the box. Inside, they would find darkness and absolute silence, which made them tremble with terror. But after all the townspeople had passed through the gate and were inside the box, they heard the voice of the villain. He explained that it was all a social experiment designed to show how easily people could be intimidated and subjugated. The people of the town were shocked. They realized that the whole horrible situation was just an illusion, but their fear was so real that they couldn't just forget everything that had happened. This incident was a real lesson to everyone in the city. They learned that they needed to be vigilant and not give in to provocation. They also realized that even in a quiet town, unexpected events can happen, and it is necessary to be prepared for them. Although the villain was caught and sent to prison, the townspeople were never able to completely forget that terrible night. They continued to live their measured lives, but now with more caution and vigilance.